I have no idea what to put in the title and thumbnail of these videos, but trust me, this will be a good time. Welcome back to Road to J. Cole Feature, the series that's all about the journey. I'm DG the Artist, and this series is here to explore my experience going from a full-time software developer to a full-time rapper, hopefully culminating in the dream of a J. Cole feature. Here's this episode's outline, and this is actually a slightly special episode because I missed last week because I was traveling to New Jersey to see my family, so this episode will cover the past 2 weeks. So you get double the content. Let's go! Starting out with our update of everything I've done in the past 2 weeks to progress my rap career. I made some really good progress on music. I worked on mixing the song Had to Leave, which is track 3 on my EP. I think at this point that track is just about ready to be mastered, so I'll probably send it over to my mastering engineer soon and we can get like the finishing touches put on that one. Speaking of my mastering engineer, his name is Jay Paris, and in addition to being a super talented engineer, he's also a super talented artist. So I met up with him in New York City last week as part of my trip up to New Jersey, and we worked on some music together. And I'm really excited. There's going to be some super cool stuff coming out really soon on his end, so stay tuned. I'm not going to spoil anything. Finally, yesterday, I invited my good friends Risk and The Vibe over, and we recorded our first ever triple collaboration called On the Internet. It's so dope. We will be previewing it at our show on April 4th at the Pocket in Washington, D.C., so if you're in the area, you should totally pull up. I made a bunch of cool content in the past 2 weeks, too. I went on Twitch last week, and I streamed some Megaminx practice. That was really fun. My current plan is to upload this video that you're watching right now on Friday, and so if you're watching this the day it comes out, I'm also planning to stream that day. So I'll link my Twitch in the description, and if you're watching this at the right time, I might be live right now, so go check that out. I also filmed, edited, and uploaded a video about what it was like to work at Twitch, which you've probably seen if you're subscribed to this channel. That was a really fun video to film, and there will be more parts coming soon, so I'm hoping to work on those next week. I also posted the last episode of Road to J. Cole Feature, which actually went over surprisingly well. I was thinking that this series would be more for the core audience of my channel and probably get fewer views than most of my other videos, but it's actually been doing really well, and it seems like that one reached some new people too, which is awesome. Welcome to the channel, and hope you're enjoying this video too. Finally, in the past 2 weeks, I've posted 2 shorts about my concert at the Pocket on April 4th in Washington, D.C., which I know I won't shut up about, but I'm really excited for this show, so, I'm gonna keep pushing that in your face, don't worry. Now let's talk performances, which, as you know, is the main way that I'm making money from music right now, so that's kind of the key. I went back to my favorite open mic in D.C. and performed there 2 weeks in a row. Here's a clip.
What you want, what you need, oh yeah, sing it. What you want, what you need, oh.
Here's another clip.
I'm eating prenup is actual healing. All of my lyrics are factual feeling.
I will sound like a broken record in this series, but open mics are the best. If you're an aspiring artist, find a local open mic and spam going to that open mic and performing as much as you can. It just really helps with getting your performance skills up, and it's just so much fun. I also have now been confirmed as a substitute host for that open mic for when the host has to be out of town for the week. I will get paid for that, which obviously is great, and I just really like the idea of hosting something for aspiring artists. It's just such a cool thing. I don't know when it'll be. The host is really punctual and doesn't really miss the open mic very often, but probably sometime this year I'll get a chance to sub. I've also been preparing a lot for my upcoming shows. I worked a lot on the set list for my show at the Pocket. I've been DMing a bunch of people about that show and about my show in Raleigh on July 3rd. And the big thing that I'm really hoping I see the fruits of my labor soon for is I started reaching out to local colleges about performing there. So I haven't officially announced it yet, but I have a show coming up at UMBC, which is a college in Maryland, in September. It's going to be a free show for students, but the club on campus that's hiring me has a budget that they can use to pay me, which is really dope. It's really a win-win because nobody has to pay to see me. I'm just taking money from a budget that's already allocated to student events. And that's something I really want to lean into in 2026 and beyond. So far I've sent 2 emails to 2 other colleges in my area to see if they're interested in putting on a show sometime this semester or in the fall semester. I haven't heard back yet from either one, but hopefully by the time I make the next episode of this series, I've followed up or maybe just heard back already. Venues are hard. They usually just don't want to respond to you, but if you're persistent and you send a lot of emails over and over and show that you're really interested in performing there, that's when they tend to get back to you. All that said, the best way to get a show is if you actually have an in with somebody at the venue. The UMBC show I'm doing is because I know somebody who goes to school there and runs a club and therefore has access to the club's budget. So here's my open letter to anybody watching this video. If any of you go to school at a university in the DMV area, or honestly anywhere in the Northeast US, reach out to me at theartistdg@gmail.com, ideally with like some contact info for somebody I can reach out to about putting on a show at your college. Now the fun part for all you math majors out there, let's talk about the statistics and analytics over the past 2 weeks. YouTube has been popping off. Let's go! In the past 2 weeks, I went from 2,149 subscribers to 2,175 subscribers, which is a crazy jump. When I was in the process of growing my old channel, DG Cubes, I took a lot of this growth for granted. I remember when I was around this level, 2,000 subscribers or so, I would see the numbers going up and I would assume those numbers will always go up. But at a certain point, I slowed down with my upload schedule and I started to see those numbers going down. And to this day, DG Cubes is losing subscribers. So all that is to say that experience has made me so genuinely grateful for every single person who clicks subscribe on this channel, because no matter how big your channel gets, you're not immune to someday losing subscribers. So seeing the upward momentum is really great. Thank you. I'm also seeing upward momentum in my watch time. So in the last video, I had 3,016 hours of watch time in the past 365 days. And now we're up to 3,078. And these numbers are a rolling sum. So for example, if I get 20 hours of watch time today when I post this video, but a year ago I had 15 hours of watch time on that same day, then this number would only grow by 5 watch hours because, you know, we're subtracting the 15 from last year and adding the 20 from this year. So all that is to say, again, it's not a given that this number will go up, so I'm really grateful that it has been, and please keep watching. I don't know, I mean, I don't want to beg, but it's really cool, and I really want to hit that 4,000 hours so I can finally monetize the channel with ads. Let's talk about Instagram. Not too much to say, but also the numbers are going up there. I went from 3,213 followers 2 weeks ago to 3,242 followers today. I don't advertise my Instagram on YouTube too much, so I don't know how many of my YouTube subscribers also follow me on Instagram, but if you don't and you have an Instagram, go follow me and you'll be part of the analytics we look at next week when we see how many followers I have. And now, spoofy. I don't know why whenever I see the word Spotify, I really just want to like change the letters around and read it as spoofy. Bear with me. Sadly, on Spotify, we have seen a little bit of a decline in my monthly listeners in the past 2 weeks. Last episode, we were at 277, which was a really nice peak. Now we're back down to 257, which still solid. Like a few months ago, I was like around 100 to 150, and so being like solidly over 200 is great. But it is always a little sad to see number go down. I like to see number go up. That's why I play Balatro. The past 7 days alone have been okay. I've had 64 listeners and 196 streams, which isn't so bad because I didn't like put any new songs out in that time, but it is down from what we saw when we looked at the past 7 days in the last episode. One strange thing that has happened in the past 2 weeks though, which is a little weird to me, is my New York City listeners have shot up again. Last time my top 2 cities were New York and Washington DC with 12 and 11 listeners respectively, and now the gap has widened. New York has 18 listeners and DC has 10. I think maybe I need to be shouting out my Spotify at open mics here more, because I think people are like hearing me at the open mic and then not going and streaming my music. But that said, it seems like my New York fan base is growing for some unknown reason, so thank you, and maybe I will work on a show in New York soon. That would be really cool. Now let's do a quick reflection on the past 2 weeks. Honestly, I've had some like conflicting feelings over this time. Obviously, I wasn't as productive as I wanted to be because I took that trip up to New Jersey, so I had a few days where I was like not here and couldn't record, couldn't make videos, all that sort of stuff. But then I had a realization, which is that I quit my job at Twitch because it was too mentally taxing. The expectations on me were a little too high, and I just really didn't like having to report to a boss. I now have the immense privilege of not having to report to a boss, and I also have the immense privilege of not needing to make it as a rapper immediately. Like, I can sort of take my time because I saved up a bunch of money for this. And so I'm trying to find the balance of not being complacent, but also not being stressed if I'm not as productive as I might want to be. There were a couple days in these past 2 weeks where, for example, I was planning to stream on Twitch and I was just kind of too tired and didn't do it. And I felt kind of bad on those days. Like, I felt like I wasn't doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But above all, my goal of being a full-time rapper is not just to be a rapper, but to be genuinely happy with my day-to-day, which is something that I couldn't say I was when I was working at Twitch. I still wake up every morning just so happy and grateful that I get to do what I do, but I am now facing the reality that I do need to find the right balance of this. You know, in those first 2 weeks, I wanted to spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just doing all the rap stuff I haven't been able to do when I was working at Twitch. And now I still want to do all that, but I'm a little less hyper than I was a month ago, so I'm just trying to like find the right balance so I don't like burn out, you know? All that said, these past 2 weeks were not bad by any means. It's just that they were slightly less productive than the weeks leading up to them, and I'm trying to really keep my mental state in check here and not beat myself up over that. I did that enough when I worked at Twitch, and now I have the absolute luxury of not having to live that life. So I really want to focus on enjoying that fact. That means making sure I'm going for my daily walks, making sure I'm like catching up with friends outside the music scene, all that sort of stuff. It's like all still really important to me that I do things that aren't related to my rap career. So I'm working on that. And finally, I have a surprise weekly shout out for you, because when I made the last episode, I had not even heard of this artist, but this week's shout out goes to Red Haze. I met Red Haze at the open mic a couple weeks ago, and oh my god, his stage presence is incredible, and like his music is just really good too. I went home and listened to a bunch of the stuff he has out, and it's incredible. I really want to collaborate with this guy at some point. We talked a lot during the open mic, and he's a really cool guy. If I had to recommend just one song, I would recommend Real Sexy Red. It's such a good song. You know, his name's Red Haze, and he's saying he's the real sexy red. It's a great concept. It's such a good vibe. I love the music. So go check out Red Haze, link in the description. If you make music and want to be considered for next week's shout out, let me know in the comments. I can't guarantee that I'll listen to everybody, but I do love hearing all the new music coming out from up-and-coming artists, so let me know. That's it for this episode of Road to J. Cole feature. Make sure to like the video, and above all, make sure to love the process. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.